and we're going to head straight to Bangladesh. A special tribunal has found the deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina guilty of crimes against humanity, and she's been sentenced to death. She was being tried in absentia, having fled to India in August last year. Security has been tightened in and around the tribunal of the capital, Dhaka. Sheikh Hasina was accused of ordering a crackdown on student-led protests last year in which hundreds were killed. Well, the special tribunal has been ongoing for the last couple of hours. It's just finished reading the verdict. It was hundreds of pages long. Here is the moment, though, that the former Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, was sentenced to death.
For all these 3 counts, we have decided to inflict her with only one sentence, that is sentence of death.
So that was the moment there of sentencing. We can cross now. We have our correspondents covering this for us in Dhaka, Arunadhay Mukherjee and Veena Gupta, who is in Delhi, where Sheikh Hasina is living in exile. First, though, let's go to Arunadhay. Just bring us right up to date.
Lewis, you heard that little bit there, that clip, the moment captured when the announcement was made, or rather the verdict was read out that she has been sentenced to death. The judge essentially saying there is only one sentence, and that is death. It was met with applause within the court. And outside as well, there's been quite a lot of activity. A small group of people who had gathered over here who essentially broke out into cheers and sloganeering, saying that, yes, the guilty must be hanged. Over here, it's a bit of a chaotic scene, as you can imagine, because the verdict has just come out. People are coming out of the court complex, being greeted by a lot of media. There will be lawyers who will be coming out. There are also the public who's gathered here. But because this is the court complex, not so many people have been allowed inside. There is a larger gathering outside who I can actually hear as I speak to you, who've been sloganeering and essentially chanting ever since that verdict came out. As we've been reporting since this morning, Lewis, this has been a very emotive trial. This has been a very sensitive case, not just because of who was being tried for crimes against humanity, but just the manner in which the violence and the police crackdown played out last year, which led to Sheikh Hasina, a prime minister for 15 years in Bangladesh, fleeing to another country, abandoning her position as prime minister. So also the court today, while reading out that verdict, detailed the extent of the police atrocities, talked about case-to-case situations about how it all played out in Dhaka last year, after which they did go ahead and pronounce the verdict. Essentially, they were looking at a few criteria when they were looking at the charges under which she was being tried. One, of course, the failure to protect the protesters from the police crackdown, also inciting the violence through speeches, and most importantly, the sanction or approval of the use of lethal force against these protesters. Under these sort of allegations, under these charges, is what Sheikh Hasina was found guilty under, and also she was awarded the death penalty. She, along with her former interior minister, have been sentenced to death. Both of them significantly not part of this trial in that sense, because they're not here. They've been tried in absentia. And the judge also made an interesting observation, saying that the fact that they're not here, the fact that they're absconding, also essentially illustrates their views, which has also been taken into account, the fact that they did not attend the trial. But the only person who was present, Lewis, was the former police chief who was here. The judge seemed to take a more lenient stand on him. We're just waiting for a final confirmation on what the sentencing was for the police chief, who was the only person who was standing trial, who was actually present here in court. We'll get you that confirmation in just a short while from now. But that's the very latest that is coming out from the court premises. As I've been talking, more crowds I can see have gathered over here. There is a sense of there, of course, a lot of the people are members of the media here, but there are also families who had arrived here who, lost people during the protests. You also have a lot of the student leaders and students who had participated in this protest last year. We met someone who had lost his son in those protests, who was 29 years old. So, you've got that kind of emotion really being picked up on here outside the court.
Arunde, thank you so much for that. Bringing us right up to date there with events in the court in the last hour or so. Well, as Arunde was mentioning, the former Prime Minister in exile has been living in exile in India, and our correspondent is there. Davina Gupta is in Delhi for us. Davina, just talk us through what we are expecting to happen now.
Well, the next step would be another question where Sheikh Hasina would be extradited to Bangladesh or not. Now, senior officials have told the BBC that this verdict will not have any impact on their request. What the country has to also see is whether there are allegations of a political vendetta against Sheikh Hasina, which stand true or not. What about her safety once she goes back? So these are questions that senior officials will be going through. India and Bangladesh do have an extradition treaty, but in the past, where the request has been made to allow Sheikh Hasina and to allow Bangladeshi authorities to get Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh, India has been unwilling so far. They have only said this is a matter of judicial and legal inquiry. They have also said that they support free and fair elections in Bangladesh and will be willing to engage with a government that is elected by a popular mandate. For now, Sheikh Hasina continues to live in Delhi. She's been speaking to local media and the BBC through an email interview in which she's also mentioned that this is a kangaroo court. She feels that this is a farce trial.
And so just giving a sense of you outlined there the kind of differences in the political decisions, the legal status, and just remind us, you started to mention it there, that the opinion of Sheikh Hasina in her case is that the criminal proceedings aren't valid in and of themselves in Bangladesh. Is that right?
Well, what she's been saying is that this is a court which is set up for a political vendetta. She's not represented directly. There's a lawyer which was chosen by the state by her opponents. So essentially, she has made it clear that she doesn't believe in these proceedings through various email interviews. Now, one must also see that this is a special tribunal, or the International Court of Tribunal, which was set up by her government way back in 2009 to prosecute those that they believed were guilty of crimes because of the war against Pakistan, which is called the Liberation War in Bangladesh in 1971, when Bangladesh was carved out and gained freedom. Now, that particular special tribunal has also been accused by critics of being biased, of them targeting opposition of Sheikh Hasina through the years. And now we have seen that this ICT, as it's called, has been reconstituted once the Awami League lost power, and has been hearing this case in a 3-member bench, and the sentencing was done today. But in all likelihood, we are waiting for Sheikh Hasina's fresh statement, but in the past she's maintained that she doesn't believe that this court is working in a transparent manner.